Welcome back to Did You Know, a podcast by Partner Veterinary. In this series, we explore all things veterinary medicine and all things partner. In each episode, we answer some of the most common questions that we are asked. From HR to emergencies and everything in between, if it happens at Partner, we'll cover it. This episode features Katie Brooks, CEO and co-founder of Partner, and a true force in veterinary medicine. Katie's journey from vet tech to leader of an emergency and specialty hospital isn't just inspiring, it's personal. She talks about why she felt compelled to start an emergency and specialty hospital where everyone on the team feels real ownership and where we can help isn't just a motto, but a promise to the pet families who walk through the doors. Tune in to hear how Katie's career evolved, the urgency that inspired Partner's founding, and what keeps her motivated. She reflects on her time as a vet tech and how Partner is changing the game for veterinary professionals who want to grow in their careers. If you care about pets, people, or the future of animal care, you will want to stick around for this conversation.
Hi, my name is Katie Brooks, and I am the CEO and co-founder of Partner Veterinary Hospitals.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Katie. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got started in the veterinary profession?
Absolutely. So I have wanted to be in the veterinary profession since I was really little. Always had a love for animals. And I actually started cleaning kennels in a hospital in a general practice when I was in high school. Took an animal science class and became a veterinary assistant from there. Initially, I planned on going to vet school. That was kind of my dream of becoming a veterinarian. And I had a scholarship to do undergrad for pre-vet out in Illinois. And my dad had been battling stage 4 lung cancer for a while. And about midway through my senior year, when it was sort of time to finalize his decisions, he went out of remission. And so I decided, didn't want to be halfway across the country, leave during that time. So I was kind of trying to figure out what I was going to do next. And literally last minute decided to change courses and go into veterinary technology school because there was one about an hour away from my house. And I ended up applying about 2 days before the program started. I mean, literally just kind of in under the wire there. Pretty sure the program was full and they just felt bad, maybe. I don't know. But that's how I got into veterinary technology, and I really, really loved it. I was able to go to school in the mornings and hang out with my dad in the afternoon, and then I worked at night in the ER somehow. And that's sort of how I got my start.
Going back, it seems like a lot of people who I have talked to that are in the profession started by cleaning kennels.
Yes.
Like that is the humble beginnings of
Yep.
the veterinarian or vet tech.
Yep. We all start out picking up poop.
That's right. That's right. So once you graduated, how did your career grow from there?
Like a lot of people do, I actually burned out pretty early. I loved what I did, but in the jobs that I had, they were very long hours, very long commutes, kind of high emotion. And I ended up at some point feeling like this probably wasn't the path for me. And so I actually was on my way to, try to go back to school and sort of figure out next steps. And I joined CVCA, the cardiology group, as a technician, with plans to work 3 days a week and go to school the other days. And there I ended up falling back in love with veterinary medicine just because of the culture and the way that they were able to deliver care. And I felt like I was recognized and I felt like I belonged, and really sort of invigorated my love for veterinary medicine. And so I worked for a couple of years there, and I've always had problems staying in my own lane. If I see something that can be improved or made better, or if I see that there's a contribution that I can make, I do that. And so I just sort of kept taking on more and more responsibility. And one of the founding cardiologists, Bonnie Lefbaum, sort of saw me doing that. And in 2005, she asked if I would consider trying to run the practice, which was 5 locations at the time. And I said, sure, have no idea what I'm doing, but I'll try. And I went to the library and looked in the card catalog for a book about how to run a veterinary practice. A lot of people listening to this probably aren't going to have any idea what that means. But a library is where they have all the books. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dewey Decimal System, the whole thing. So they didn't have any books on running a veterinary practice, but they did have books on how to run a dental practice. So that's literally where I started figuring out what to do. I went to the Veterinary Management Institute at Purdue, which is like a graduate program, and exposing you to, strategic planning and finance and HR and marketing. It was a really great overview. A lot of good connections there. I earned my CVPM, Certified Veterinary Practice Manager credentials in 2008. And then really just the whole journey was learning by doing. So I became the practice's IT person when I needed to be, or the marketing person, and I did payroll and the finances and all the operational stuff. And as the practice got bigger, I would hire people into specific roles when I was way over my head in terms of the time that I had and being able to do it all. So I kind of had a bunch of titles on the way, and eventually at some point they started calling me the CEO, and I ran the practice. And it was always just about, what do the people around me need right now? How can I improve our service to clients, or how efficiently we deliver care, or make things better for people, or hire the right people in. And so very non-traditional path, which is kind of unusual in a profession that is governed a lot by credentials. So I literally learned on the job however I could. So whether that was books or Google or talking to people. And even when I, was functioning as the CEO, you sort of get to the point where you're in charge of all the things, and it's hard to know if you're doing the right thing because there's no one else that can kind of tell you if you're doing it right.
Yeah.
So at that point, I started hiring coaches and mentors, and I had an advisory board at one point that had people from all different kinds of industries on a panel that would review what I was doing and review the kind of some objective measures of the business, and just give me feedback and coaching on what I could do better. And that was super helpful. I joined veterinary leadership groups, started speaking and, attending lectures. And really that's kind of how I kept learning and growing. And still to this day, just try to surround myself with people that have experience where I don't, or have strengths where I don't. And that's kind of been my journey. And while I was doing that, I just really developed such a deep love for the people in veterinary medicine, and kind of a talent for recruiting the really good people, kind of identifying who would be great to work with, and just, how could I make their lives better. And I think the success of CVCA is a testament to the really great people that are there and that just give amazing care and service.
This is truly your time there, and how you have been a Jill of all trades, if you will.
Yes, Jill of all trades, I love that.
Has led you to Partner and to creation, and why Partner has been so successful. Can you tell us a little bit about how, or first, why you decided to start Partner?
Yeah. So, we were seeing pretty devastating impacts from multiple factors in the ER specialty space, and that a lot of them related back to consolidation, lack of resources, really high patient volumes during COVID, ton of burnout, and that manifests in a loss of team members. So ERs closing either partially or permanently, and, having trouble getting your pet seen is scary. So that means that your dog may be hit by a car, or your cat may have a urinary blockage, and there's no one there to help. And those are things that need immediate intervention to save the pet's life. And there were just stories like that from all over the country. And I experienced it myself with my own dog. And, I joke all the time that I built these hospitals for my oldest Labrador, which is not entirely a joke.
Yeah.
He's been a patient now with internal medicine and emergency and neurology. And so, for me, the peace of mind that our team is there when they're needed has been so valuable to our family and the community. I mean, we have 5 kids, and 4 of them are teenagers, and it's the pets that help emotionally regulate the entire family. So when anybody here is stressed or scared or angry or sad, it's the pets that get us back to center. So in that way, the health of the entire family rests on the health of the pets. And so we were seeing that there was just fewer and fewer resources to make that happen. And I had I started an ER right out of tech school, actually during tech school. And it was hard, but I really loved it. And so I've always kind of had a special place in my heart for the people who do that kind of work. And I thought, hey, we're really successful in cardiology, making a good environment for people. Let's try it here and see if we can, maybe make a place where people want to stay and where they won't get burned out. And so we started partner from a vision of how we can provide better support to emergency and specialty teams. So that they'll stay and do what they love. And it's, even though the work is hard and it can be sad and it's challenging, and the hours in the ER are long and they're working holidays and overnights and through any kind of weather, we were finding that that's not the reason that people leave. It's the environments that they're in and it's not the work that they're doing, it's how they're being forced to do it.
How can people within our profession relate to you and people who are coming to partner?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I think because I've done a lot of those jobs, I grew up in the field. I've always understood the realities of veterinary medicine, and I understand the business side too now. And I see that in our profession broadly, there can be a big disconnect in between people looking at numbers and people living in reality and, what do people actually need? And I just love to work beside the people and problem solve and help give them what they need. And I think that it's essential for leaders in our field to recognize that regardless of like where you start, there's so much talent and opportunity within the teams that we have, and they know what they need to do their job. And so I think because I have done that job and because a lot of leaders and partner have done that job, or still do that job, that's how people relate to me and relate to us. So.
Well, and that leads me to the next question. What are the paths for growth at Partner?
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, so it's myself being a veterinary technician, when I remember my last day of school in vet tech school, they told us that the majority of people leave the field within 5 years. And I was like, wow, nobody said that on day one, like
Yeah.
telling us at graduation, literally. So for me, as someone who's been in the field now, I'm almost 48. I started when I was 15. I'm really passionate about growth. For myself, I want to continue to learn and grow and be challenged. And I want that for our people and give them opportunities to spread their wings and try new things. So what we do, from an administrative leadership standpoint, you're going to see a lot of LVTs and VTSs and DVMs on our leadership team. That's where the majority of us have come from and continue to come from. There's opportunities to teach and mentor, both at the organizational level and at the hospital level and within the departments. We have roles like team advocates and shift advocates. So those are the people who run the team or the shift that day. We plan to open more hospitals at some point so that there will always be room for regional support and things like that. And we have opportunities for people who want to stay primary clinical, but want to be involved maybe in developing protocols or doing inventory or doing marketing. So we have people with advanced degrees who may work as a technician, but they have a degree in marketing, and so they can help out your team and be involved in that way. And then it's important to us to also have clinical paths for growth, because not everybody wants to move into management and leadership. So we have veterinary assistants who we're supporting to become LVTs. We have LVTs that we're supporting to become VTSs. We're working on ways to fully utilize our specialized technicians. Our techs run diagnostic imaging. We're training them on ultrasound. They run CT and MR. We have doctors who are, have or are becoming certified in acupuncture, ER, DVMs, becoming more proficient in surgery. We have an internship program, so lots of mentoring there now. We have internists and surgeons that are working on more minimally invasive surgery and interventional radiology. And so These are all very highly driven people who want to learn and grow regardless of their credentials or accomplishments. So we just want to continually have as many pathways to continue to give people the opportunities to learn and grow, because that's very, very few of those people who are really into what they do want to just be stagnant and do the same thing every day.
And we also at Partner have other roles that other emergency hospitals might not have. A hospital concierge, our
That's right.
DC, our patient care coordinator. Is that
Yeah.
at other hospitals as well, or is that unique to Partner?
I believe it's unique to Partner. Whether other people might have them and call them something different. But those things came out of a desire to make sure that everybody's kind of practicing at the top of their license. So the hospital concierge makes sure that the teams have everything they need to do, that everything's clean and organized and well set up so that they can focus on taking care of the patients. And the patient care coordinator is a newer role that we have that really focuses on concierge client communication and facilitating within the hospital a patient who might be seen by multiple departments, or a patient who has a multi-day hospitalization, making sure that the communication's there with the primary care vet and all of the people that are involved in that case, essentially being an advocate for the patient, and also keeping the owner and the family very informed on, here's a picture, look, he's eating now, he's feeling better today, things like that, which allows, the nursing team to be able to make sure that they're focused on the medical side of it and the client's not left in the dark about what's going on, because in a lot of hospitals you can have really good medical care, but you don't necessarily know, if you don't know what's happening, then the family doesn't necessarily see all that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's, a big part of Partner was created not only for the patient care, but also, like you were speaking to earlier, is the clients and the families of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How is Partner, and you've kind of answered this already, but how is Partner reimagining the profession?
Yeah, no, great question. So I think a key part of how we're trying to do that is just working very closely with the clinical team and making sure that the equipment that we buy, the protocols that we put into place, where we're putting our time and energy, the roles we're developing are very congruent with the team needs on the floor. And that, I think, is we've lost our way as a profession a little bit in that regard. We want to make sure that we're using our resources as efficiently as possible to best support the team and best utilize everything that we have to make their jobs easier. We really try everything we touch. We try to just question ourselves, like, could this be better? Why are we doing it this way? Do we like the reasons that we're doing it? Not fall into the trap of this is how it's always been, so this is how it's going to be. Just really trying to make sure that we're optimizing everything and just continually improving. And our team's really great about that. We don't have a team that's afraid of change. They're very engaged. They want to continue. They want to try new things. They want to, just keep doing things to make sure. And some things work and some things don't. And you just never know until you actually do it. So I think kind of a core tenet here is we need to get back to protecting the reason that we're all in the field, which is a very fierce dedication to the human-animal bond. That's what's the core in every single person, every single role. That's why they got into this, and that's what's meaningful to them. And we know that in emergency and specialty medicine, it's high emotion, and it can be difficult, and it can be sad, and there's certain aspects of that we can't change. But let's do everything we can to change for the better what is under our control. And so a couple ways we think about that is, are the leaders representative of the people that are actually doing the work, right? So again, are the people making decisions connected to the people doing the work? Have they done that job? Are they close to what's going on the floor, and have a genuine understanding of the realities that they face every day and the challenges? And the fact that I think we trust the people that are doing the work to know what they need to make them successful, and listen to that, and we support them and recognize that the work that they do every day is challenging and truly important. And I think another huge aspect of kind of how we're reimagining things is we as a profession have a huge need to understand and respond to the challenges that our people face. And people, which are mostly women in veterinary medicine, doctors and technicians and specialists, they all put an absolute ton of time into training, years of their life, and they put their personal life on hold almost completely for a long time to do what they do. And so we need to understand what an uphill battle that is for people already if we want to retain them in the profession and we want them to continue to have energy to want to be here and want to do the hard work that they do every day. And, it's just hard to live where you want and raise a family and care for elderly patients and deal with your own health issues and, put time and effort towards your dreams and goals outside of work unless we recognize the needs of those people and work to try to meet them. So we're always trying to make sure, are we creating a sustainable environment here? Are we doing our best to meet people's needs individually so that they can balance the rest of their life and not have to make a choice between being a veterinarian or a technician and being a human in the world? And if we make it stressful and inflexible and it takes everything out of you, whether you're at work or home because of the stress, then people are going to burn out and they're going to leave. And so if we get that part right, then we keep good people and we help more pets and their families. And that's basically been my focus my entire career is, did we leave this environment better than we found it?
And that is one of the last questions that I wanted to ask was, what impact do you want to leave on the veterinary profession? And you just said it.
Yeah. I mean, really, that's it is anytime I see somebody reconnect to why they did this in the first place, that is a huge win for me. Huge win. And because that results in patients leaving the hospital when they couldn't walk when they came in and now they can walk, and, they graduated chemotherapy or they were hospitalized and the odds were very much against them, but they're going home to their family. That all happens because we have created an environment that people can stay connected to the why, because it is so hard to do what we do. So yeah, if I can do that even for one person, then, I think that's a huge win. So.
Absolutely. I do have one more question.
Yes.
Do you ever miss being a tech?
Yeah, I get that question a lot. There's definitely a hands-on nurturing aspect of being a technician that I've always loved. So we have a guinea pig and 3 dogs and then a 4th rotating foster, as you well know. And so the way I kind of stay connected to that is through the fostering and the rescuing and taking care of their own pets. But I do, just like we just talked about, I get a ton of fulfillment now because I can support so many people. That's so many more patients helped than I could ever do on my own. So do I miss it? That I still get those elements of it, but I will say that later on down the road when I retire, my plan is to go through our own training program and become a proficient licensed tech as I once was, and then go out into the world and use that in the rescue. So I feel like it's eventually going to come full circle. But right now I really truly am happy doing what I do. And fortunately we have enough pets here that I still get that hands-on day-to-day experience. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Katie, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you for listening to Did You Know? Is there something about Partner that you want to know? Email us at letstalk@partnervesc.com. Who knows, we might turn your question into an entire episode. You can now find us wherever you listen to all of your other favorite podcasts. Subscribe now.